Well, I came to meditation because I was in search of something to help me, because I knew that I wasn't functioning to my ideal or I needed help.
I would say it's probably one of the defining moments of my life, having meditation introduced. It changed me profoundly.
I found TM by looking more into mindset stuff. So I have a coach that I work with, and we're seeking different ways to enhance performance that other people weren't using.
And that's one of the things that TM does. It releases all of those limits that you thought that you had.
It takes you to the very source of your own love, the source of your own divinity, the source of who you are, and who we all are is extraordinary human beings.
Meditation, more than any other factor, has been the reason for whatever success I've had.
I was amazed. It did. It changed literally everything. I know it sounds hokey, we've been saying this all night, but it changed my life.
I feel a sense of peace that I haven't had before.
What does transcending mean? Transcending, literally, if you look at it, is to go beyond. What we are interested in is to go to somewhere which is better than where we were before.
How do you develop more of the potentiality of the mind? In TM, we're allowing transcending to finer levels of awareness and ultimately to the very core of our consciousness.
You're able to quiet your mind and go within and be able to access parts of ourselves that we don't normally access.
The way I like to think of it is that this is a technique that brings more balance. And what that increased balance is going to look and feel like will be a little bit different from one person to the next. It'll be a little bit different from one day to the next. You may begin this practice and notice some positive changes in one area of your life, and then as you stick with it, weeks, months, years later, you'll start to see other positive changes start to emerge.
Mental health, emotional health, physical health. It has a huge number of benefits.
When the brain is more coherent, it is a game changer for how we experience our life.
Hi, my name is Emily Fitzrandolph, and I'm a certified teacher of Transcendental Meditation. Transcendental meditation is a very simple, very effortless, very effective practice. It's practice sitting easily with eyes closed for 20 minutes twice a day. Now, it's so effortless, it's so effective, it's so easy. Truly, anyone can practice this technique. Kids as young as 10 can learn it. But you don't need to have any background in meditation. You certainly don't need to be good at quieting the mind. Oftentimes, when we come to a meditation technique, we think that, okay, I'm going to need to focus and concentrate and be really good at trying to clear my mind of thought. With TM, we actually use this very simple technique, and it's a systematic technique, mechanical in the best sense of the word, in that we allow the mind to naturally and automatically start to settle down. A great analogy we can use for this, if you think of an ocean, busy and active at the surface, lots of waves, lots of activity. But if you were to dive to the depth of that ocean, it's quiet, it's calm, it's still. Now, those two activities are happening simultaneously. That structure is there, that busy activity and that silent depth. Our mind is like an ocean. We experience life up here on the surface. In fact, 90% of our time, we're essentially caught in the waves. And this is where we can feel overshadowed, overwhelmed by stress, by everything in our environment. And we're doing this and going here and making lists and plans and decisions. But just like that ocean, we also have this deep inner stillness, this inner reservoir of creativity. And it's there all the time. We're just not accessing it. Something's blocking us essentially from experiencing that calm. Okay, now how do we actually do this technique? When you learn TM, you'll essentially learn two things. You'll be given a mantra, which is a meaningless sound. It's a soothing sound for the physiology. And you'll be given the technique, how to use the mantra properly. Now, these two things, a mantra, meaningless sound, and the technique of how to use the mantra properly, give the mind this opportunity to essentially use the mantra like a vehicle. And again, we experience quieter and quieter and quieter levels of thinking as the mind settles down.
Let's explore the brainwave signatures of meditation practices. This is possible because meditations have different procedures. And depending on the procedure you're using, that brainwave frequency will be seen. So if the procedure of meditation involves focusing the mind, maybe focusing on the breath, what you see is a brainwave signature of keeping the mind focused. It's called gamma, is the name. It's a very fast brainwave. It goes up and down 20 to 50 times per second. Gamma is seen in any situation where you're focusing. For example, when people are watching this video, they probably have gamma in their EEG because they're trying to keep their attention on one idea, they're trying to block out irrelevant stimuli, and so on. Another category of meditation involves less effort. It's just it's open monitoring. It's just watching. It's observing and in a non-passionate way, not trying to fix, not trying to change, but just noting, letting it go. This procedure, open monitoring, involves theta EEG between 5 and 8 cycles per second. And it's seen whenever you're just watching, you're just observing, you're just attending to the ongoing internal mental processing. The third category is the process of transcending. And this is any meditation which involves turning the attention within, starting with thinking, but just ending up with inner silence or being. The category is called automatic self-transcending. We see transcendental meditation. And in this category, what we see is alpha 1 EEG, 8 to 10 cycles per second. It's the EEG of the brain just humming to itself, being awake without any doing. The first two meditation categories, what they do is they train your mind to think and cope and act in a specific way. You're as if using the mind in a different way, to focus the mind or to just be following ongoing mental activity. Third category, transcendental meditation, doesn't teach your mind to use your mind in a different way, but rather it expands consciousness itself, expands awareness.
I was able to deal with stress a lot more. I wasn't overwhelmed with the things I was doing.
It really does help you to be present, to listen, to be grounded, to be spontaneous, be creative, to have energy, all the things that are obviously very helpful.
What you start to find through meditation is that you start to go above, you start to see things from a higher level. And when you start to get that feeling, you just never want to be without it.
Then you will perform better. You will perform in ways that you never thought possible.
I started to notice a significant improvement in respiratory rates. Heart rate variability significantly increased, which again, same thing, it's going to help balance your body.
It made me feel like I could manage everything that was coming at me and have something left over for myself and for my family.
I think one of the most important things for me today is that TM creates resilience. And this resilience I'm looking at in terms of physical health.
Transcendental meditation has been found to have a profound effect on physical health. So how can it affect the body? Well, we know that the mind and body are intimately connected. For every state of mind, there's a corresponding physiological state. Scientific research has found that as a person practices transcendental meditation and the mind settles down, what would you expect would happen in the body? The body experiences deeper and deeper levels of rest. Transcending the conscious thinking mind produces a profound change in brain activity. That's experienced by the body, and it's shown on stress hormones like cortisol, which are reduced during TM practice by 30%. That's a biochemical change in the stress in the human nervous system. And the levels of cortisol stay low after transcendental meditation. Studies on aging have found that just a few years of regular TM practice changes one's biological age from the normative level of biological age. People are found to be as much as 12 years younger biologically from the norm when they practice TM for 5 years. In a scientific journal, Psychosomatic Medicine, over 5 years, hospitalization in all different disease categories reduced on average by 50%, 87% less for heart disease, 91% less for nervous system disorders. This is the kind of effect that can seem like, oh, that's, now you're saying it's like a panacea. Well, let's just think for a second. Modern medicine says that the majority of all illnesses are either caused or complicated by stress. TM has been proven to be a method that eliminates stress from the nervous system. If you're practicing something that effectively does that, what would you expect would happen across the board? This would be the natural outcome.
In that dichotomy of rested body and active mind, the brain starts to produce these alpha-1 brainwaves. And these alpha-1 brainwaves, about 8 to 10 hertz, are often seen, for example, in elite athletes. If you were to hook up an elite athlete to an EEG cap and measure them when they're in the flow state or the zone, you'd see that same level of coherence. This is happening within a few seconds of someone practicing TM. So this isn't something that takes years to master. Now, the result of that coherence that's taking place during TM is that when we come out into activity, we maintain that coherence in orderly thinking, heightened creativity. They've done studies looking at this brain coherence, this global EEG coherence, and its correlates in activity. Higher GPA, better moral reasoning, decreased neuroticism, higher IQ, ability to think more clearly and more creatively. In fact, all areas of intelligence are seen to improve. They've done studies looking at not just practical intelligence, but fluid intelligence, that ability to problem solve, field comprehension, the ability to see the big picture and focus in on the details, and again, creativity, that these all start to improve after practicing TM.
The structure of the course, it always begins with 4 sessions, 1 session per day on 4 consecutive days. And there are actually 2 ways to access this. One way is to have all 4 sessions in person. Another option is to have the first session in person, and then the subsequent sessions can be done online. The first session, which is always in person, it's one-on-one. It's where you meet with an instructor, you learn a mantra, you learn how to use it.
And you would meditate for the very first time. And then you would go home and you would practice on your own. You're given all the instructions how to easily meditate at home.
For the next 3 days, you will meditate together with your instructor, and you'll have a chance to ask any questions. And there will also be some new learning content each day. Just some examples of the learning content. You'll learn how to know if you're doing it correctly, how to know if it's working. You'll learn what to do if you fall asleep, what to do if you get interrupted. You'll learn about the long-term effects of this practice, what you can hope to see as you stick with this long-term. You'll learn some strategies for how to integrate it into your routine.
The final day of the course, we give them a vision of possibilities. What do you have to look forward to? And we systematically unfold how transcendental meditation can help them become and be a new, improved version of themselves.
Now, there is another option, like I mentioned, to have the first session in person and then the subsequent sessions online. And if you choose that, we call it the hybrid model, then the online learning on days 2, 3, and 4 will be some asynchronous learning that you'll do through the TM app, and some synchronous learning that you'll do through a video chat with your teacher. And the video sessions are done in a group along with other people who launched their training on the same day as you.
Some people say, I'm hands-on and I really just want to come and be and receive the knowledge that way in a hands-on way with others. Other people will say, I would like to come in, but my life is so busy right now and I'm traveling and this and that, and I have a lot on my plate. I would like to make the commitment to take the course, but take it through the app. But I can still come in on the first day.
What does it actually look like to practice transcendental meditation? Well, we always practice every day, twice a day for 20 minutes. You start first thing in the morning. After waking up, you'll practice for 20 minutes. Then later in the afternoon or early evening, ideally both times before a big heavy meal. And big thing people always say to me, Raisa, how am I going to find 20 minutes twice a day? And what I say is you find 3 hours every day to be scrolling through your phone, to be watching videos. If we can spend 3, 4, 5 hours a day doing something else that maybe is not so great for our mental health, maybe not so great for our physical well-being, then we can absolutely find the time to practice transcendental meditation.
We're diving into the transcendent, into the unbounded, and we're bringing that out into our day-to-day experience every day when we're practicing TM. Until one day, that unbounded field of creativity, love, bliss is permanently established in our waking day experience. That restful alertness never goes away. So all the time, we're perfectly rested, but ready to plunge into any dynamic activity at a moment's notice.
So realize who you are, know who you are. That is the wisdom of all time. Know thyself. And therefore you can love yourself, you can understand yourself, you can use yourself for the maximum benefit for your own life and for all those who are around you. It is our birthright to live life in fullness and inspire everyone else to live in that fullness and experience this beautiful gift of a human physiology that can transcend all limitations and embrace life in the most grand way.